I see they finally decided to come back after another hiatus and to finally give us what we're looking for. When I tell you I'm not disappointed, oh my goodness. This episode, all over the place, but they were really good points. So we're going to talk about that, and I'm excited to talk about that. I'm excited to be back. So, brain's ready, mouth is ready, heart is ready, geek, everything is ready. So, woo, get ready. Hey everybody, it's your boy Montel. What's going on? How's everybody doing? Hopefully you guys are having a fantastic day, week, month, year, millennium, nice weather. Hopefully warming up, or at least staying bundled up in the cooler weather, and you guys are taking care of each other and you're enjoying as much of 2019 as you can. Thank you so much for checking me out. Thank you to my ride or dies. You guys have really continued to show me love with everything I've had going on. I appreciate it. Thank you to my new subscribers. Welcome to my humble little world, my little corner of YouTube. It's not much, it's not big, it's like a 1-bedroom apartment with the kitchen and the bathroom in the same room, but you're more than welcome to come check it out with me and go on this journey where I talk about geek and nerdy stuff and also bring in some different things. And I'm also looking to bring in some newer stuff and newer content down the line, so please feel free to check me out. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe. Also hit that notification bell so you'll know when I upload my latest creation, whichever it might be. Please don't forget to hit me up on social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I have my preferences, but I am across all those social media platforms, so please feel free to hit me up. Again, share, and of course, like my videos. Please, 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 please. Yeah, I don't normally do it that long, but what can I say? I like doing it. Thank you so much. Alright, I know I've had a bit of a hiatus, and I do apologize to you guys. I've had a few things going on, life, so much the thing called life in all its forms and everything. So I had to take care of life in all its forms and everything, and I had to take care of that first, so that way I can come back and be able to jump back into it. Of course, they had a network hiatus of Black Lightning, so that was a couple of weeks. Trashy. And now they're back, and oh, are they back. I'm telling you, this is getting to be really good. So we jump into season 2, episode 14, I think. Wow, I am just, yeah, episode 14, yeah. Black Lightning, Book of Secrets, chapter 4, Original Sin. Now, the first thing I noticed while watching this entire episode of Black Lightning is that there are some people that are missing from this particular episode, and I understand why after watching it. I fully understand why, and once again, the episode does not disappoint. We focus on each member of the family and what they have going on, and the way it starts out is pretty freaking amazing. We jump in, and the first face we see walking the halls of Garfield is Lala. I know, I threw me off. This man, who will later become known as Tattoo Man, for various reasons, he's walking around, and he can't die because they reanimated him. Thank you, Tobias. So now, as long as he has to go and fulfill whatever he needs to do, he is always going to be walking the streets or walking the halls or wherever, so they can do whatever he needs to do. But this particular time, he is in the hallways. He's trying to find Jeff. Don't know why. And of course, we get in and we find out that he wants to find out who killed his friend Earl. Now, mind you, we never saw anything of anyone named Earl, but we find a little more about it. And going to find out that Lala has lapses in his memory. Every time they reanimate him, there's a lapse in his memory. And apparently, the more he finds out, the more he remembers, the more he is able to realize the truth. And we find out later, this is what's going to help him to die, because he wants to die. He genuinely wants to die. Now, the reason why I call him Tattoo Man, if you haven't been following along, is that when he was reanimated by Tobias and Lady Eve, he was given the ability that whoever he killed, their face, their image will be tattooed on his body. Not only that, but now they live his spirits in his mind. He can literally interact with them. So anyone who sees him around and he's talking out loud and there's nobody around, he's talking to someone. He is talking to Will, and he's talking to LaWanda. Remember, LaWanda was the mother who lost her daughter to the 100, and Will was a member of the 100 who kind of went rogue and kidnapped Anissa and Jen in the early parts of season 1. So he's got this rattling off in his head. So he goes to the one person that he feels is responsible for the death of his friend and who can help him get this solved. And of course, Jefferson does admit that the reason why Earl was killed is because Earl took his advice and went to the police. And we already know that Tobias has shady elements in the police department, and as a result, the 100 took him out. But during this whole thing, we see the vulnerability and frailty of this young man. He comes off as tough, and he can do this, and he can take out anybody, and that's fine. But seeing his vulnerability actually made you feel more for him and why he feels the way he does. Because if you think about it, he wants to die straight up, and of course Tobias has his own agenda and brought him back to life. So we see this whole thing boil out. Then we get to Lynn. Of course, Lynn and Odell are going at it again, and Odell sees the pod kids as weapons, whereas Lynn sees them as children who have been abandoned and who have been left in these conditions, and her maternal instincts kick in. And I appreciate the dynamic between these two. I don't particularly care for Odell, but I understand why he's doing what he's doing. But of course, he takes on the bad guy role of the head of the ASA, and that's all he's functioning on, is make sure these kids become weapons for, as he says, for the protection of the country. We all know how that boils down. And of course, Lynn's not digging it. We find out later that she stands up to him because Wendy is one of the few that's revived. She's fine, and she's testing out her abilities. But of course, Odell later locks her completely out of it and just does his thing. And I got a feeling this is going to come back and bite him square in his ass. And Lynn's not going to stand for it. You already know this chick is built to be a warrior. I love Lynn. I love her convictions. I love her humanness. And I just love her frailty at times, but I love her strength, her determination, her desire to help. Being the only non-superpowered member of the family, her mind is her superpower, and her heart is her superpower, and her empathy is her superpower. So that works out. Alright, so we jump to Jen. They've decided to give Jen a suit so they can try and help to harness her ability, because if you remember from the last episode, unfortunately I do have the video somewhere, I just gotta find it and upload it. We find out that she's got a lot of anger inside of her, and Perina told her, if you do not release this or control this, you will burn out. So they're going to create a suit for her, and she's excited. She is finally part of this process. She's excited about being part of the team, being able to use her powers, and she's getting a suit like her sister and her dad, and she's excited about this and everything. But you can still tell she is missing Khalil, which is understandable. And now her dynamic blends also into the dynamic with Anissa, because Anissa now is on the move trying to find Grace. What's going on with Grace? And she finds out that Grace's name isn't really Grace, and she's determined to find out her origins. Of course, if you actually do a little bit of research, you'll find out that Grace Choi in the comics was a member of Batman and the Outsiders, and you see a lot of what's going on in this. Now, and I'll bring up the differences in a second. Again, Anissa finds the apartment where they're at, and Anissa and a gentleman opens the door. But we find out that it's Grace that became the gentleman. So in the show, she has the ability to be a shapeshifter, but you can kind of tell there's a little more to that dynamic. Where if you see her in a comic, she's not a shapeshifter. She just has superpowers. She has super strength, invulnerability, and a few other things. So you can start seeing the differences where the show breaks away from the comic, which I really appreciate. And later, Anissa goes back in her suit as Thunder, and she has a fight with Grace, and they get into a fight. It's a simple little fight, but it's a devious little fight. You can tell there's a power going on there, and there is anger and there's frustration. But at one point, Grace transforms, shoots out of the room. We never see her form, but it's not human. So now Anissa's got that on her head. She misses Grace. She wants to make sure Grace is okay, but now she's seeing there's a little more to this. All right, so we've talked about Jen, Lynn, Jeff, and Anissa. All right. Oh! We also find a little more about what happened in the previous episode. Of course, Cutter says they no longer need Todd. They give Todd a car, and the car explodes. We never see his face. So we go into this episode where Henderson finds out about Todd through some investigative work. Good job. And they also find out about the car that was blown up. All they recovered were the glasses. Now, this is funny. We never see the body. We never see the face. But the police said they identified it as Todd Green. But we never see the body. All you hear are what the police are saying. And I'm firmly believing that the police are covering this up away from Henderson. So Gamby and Henderson are working together, and they find out about this. And now Gamby's going to identify the fluid that was in the tanks that Tobias took, which brought one of the agents, Shakedown, aka Bishop Marcus, to life. So now, if you notice through the episode, there's no Tobias, Cutter, or Shakedown. And that's a very, very interesting absence. But we also know that they're focusing on this. So later we go into, now what I loved about the towards the end of the episode is the dynamic where the family comes back together to the table. Jeff's gone through his thing, Lynn's gone through her thing, Jen and Anissa have gone through their thing, and they're talking about this. And I love that specific part of it, but of course we find out that Odell is watching the family. And this boy is an absolute savage. He has a team there. They got the surveillance going on. He says, does anyone else know about them besides you guys? No, we're the only ones. There's no satellite uplink. Everything is here. It's included. Good. Pulls out. Pop, pop, pop. Kills the team that's in there. What's really going on here? You know there's something more underlying. Now we also kind of we backtrack a little bit with Lala, because we see Lala driving away. He's got LaWanda in the passenger side. He's got Will in the back seat, but we don't see Earl, even though Earl has been tattooed to his body. And we find out that now he is on that mission to take out Tobias. And that's all that matters. But we rewind a little bit to the last time he was reincarnated. And we don't know who the gentleman was, but he was placing bits of body parts and meat in this fluid. And the fluid was actually forming bodies. You can see 3 vats behind him with people in them. Now we see him go through the process, and boom, he brings Lala back. Lala's like, why don't you let me die? He says, you will find the truth in your pain, in the puzzle of your pain. And I call him the reanimator because we already know he's from the 5 Heartbeats. We already know. We already know. So, yeah, I'm digging this, and I'm loving this. So now we've got mystery on top of mystery on top of mystery on top of mystery. And I am thinking that the next 2 episodes are going to be phenomenal. As always, Black Lightning brings a story that is undisputed. I love what they do. I love the character development. I love how the stories are furthering on. And even when you think characters have completely disappeared, they pop back up. I.e. Lala. So That's how I feel. Black Lightning every Monday without fail. So what I'm going to be doing is Black Lightning comes on Mondays. Unfortunately, I have to work. So I'll be doing the videos on Tuesdays, editing and uploading them on Tuesdays. So you should see a new video every Tuesday from here on until life changes again. Okay? But I'm really loving this. I'm really loving the show. I'm loving everything about it. Now, one question did pop up that I seen online, and I knew the answer already. Somebody was asking, was Black Lightning going to overlap with the Arrowverse? The answer is no. Black Lightning is going to stay on its own, which is perfect. Let this show grow and flourish and be what it's supposed to be. And you see the characters. And we're going to see new characters pop up, and I'm excited about this. And yes, oh my goodness. So thank you again for checking me out, guys. Please don't forget to hit me up on social media if you haven't already. And as always, I ask you beautiful people to do for me. You ready? Stay nerdy, stay geeky, and as always, stay sexy. Bye, guys.